Welcome to the Jeff Knows Inc. Entrepreneurial Podcast with your host, Jeff Lopes. Jeff has over 2 decades experience as a serial entrepreneur, building brands like Kimura from his home basement to a multi-million-dollar global brand that has sold over 250,000 pairs of boxing gloves. Jeff's here to educate, guide, and drive you on the process of bringing your ideas and dreams to reality with the inspiring stories from some of the top business minds.
Welcome to episode number 11 of the Jeff Knows Inc. podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Lopes. Our guest this week is Sunny Mahal, aka Mr. Sunshine, directly from the UK. Sunny's mantra is, I practice what I teach and I live what I preach. As a serial entrepreneur, Sunny is well known for his land and property development, but he's also known to be an incredible business consultant, NLP practitioner, and a keynote speaker. This is going to be a fun, entertaining, and very educational podcast. Sit back and enjoy. We are live with Jeff Knows Inc. I'm your host, Jeff Lopes. Today, we have a special guest from the UK, Sunny Mahal. Sunny, aka Mr. Sunshine. You want to say hi to our guests?
Hello, people. Thank you for having me on, Jeff. I'm super excited about this. And let's inspire some human beings to a better place, baby.
Awesome, buddy. Awesome. Let's start off with a quick little get to know Sunny. Give me a little rundown of who you are, what you do currently.
Okay, cool. So me, Sunny Mahal from the UK, and I do multiple different things. So from land development to buying property, so buying land, build houses, investing in property, investing in commercial, retail businesses, e-commerce, fashion brands, Sunshine State of Mind, public speaking, coaching, mentoring.
Jack of all trades.
Trying to do that, yeah. Again, we've been doing this for 14 years now. So it's been like, can't believe how long it's been. But again, even when we started, it was literally just do one thing, then the next, and the next, and the next, and then before you know it,
what got you into the real estate and land development? Like what inspired you to start into that?
Just seeing other people, it's like I've always been fascinated by property, saying, okay, cool. Like growing up from a young age, parents were always saying, yep, you need to buy your own house. You don't want to be renting. You want to build assets. You want to build wealth. And when you're younger, you actually don't really make sense of it. But when you're growing up and you start looking at aspirational people, like they've got money, they've got lifestyle, they've got cars, they've got the family, the time, and you sort of like fine tune what is it that they're doing. And you look at the most successful people in the world, their biggest amount of wealth is built through assets. So then off the back of that, I thought, okay, cool, I just need to learn myself and do more research and over time start somewhere small to then start growing something big. So it was just about building long-term wealth. Nothing about short wins or anything, but just about building long-term wealth. So when I get to my retirement age, whatever the hell that's going to be, I've got assets paying for me and stuff. And
you're an entrepreneur, buddy. There's no retirement for us.
No, that's what I mean. That sounds like that, retirement.
I want to jump into something a little different here. Let's talk about Sunny at 10 years old. How were you growing up? Were you always an entrepreneur? Like, did you try to hustle on the side? Like, did you always try to make money? Like, how were you as a kid growing up?
So growing up as a kid, so like I'm the only child, or you could call lonely child, whatever you want to call it. It was just me. And my parents pretty much, I'm blessed that they gave me everything that I wanted from a young age. So I wasn't really that in need of stuff, even though they weren't super wealthy, but they were always making sure I had gifts at Christmas and on my birthday, something special was done and stuff. So I never really had that hustle, but I think I got my entrepreneurial flair from my parents as well. But my dad, he came to this country with like, £5 in his back pocket. And then he ended up being one of the like wealthiest people in his family. And I just saw that was just from hard work, dedication, and just never giving up. So I think I got that flair from him.
Was your father an entrepreneur as well?
Yeah. So he started by working for other people when he came to the country. Then he knew that obviously he couldn't make that much money for a lifestyle by just working for somebody else. And then he started his first business, and then he did his second and his third. And I was always that little like 10-year-old that could just about see above counters and stuff and following him around and going to building sites, going to retail businesses and waking up at 5 a.m, sleeping in the van whilst he's traveling somewhere. So I saw all of that. And then I saw the fact that he had like the good, different levels of respect from people in his circle as well for not being that typical person working for somebody else, but actually believing in himself and just doing something rather than nothing.
Did you ever have inspirations of being I guess, following your father's footsteps in his industry?
Yeah, I did. I mean, like the first business we did, we teamed up when I was, I think 22, 23 years old, 22, yeah. So we did that, but then even working with him, the hard work ethic I'd seen that from growing up from a young age. But then when I was working with him, he was working too much in the business and not on the business. And when I'd say we need to work on it rather than in it, because when we work on it, we can scale, we can do everything, this, that, the other. He found that alien because he was conditioned just to do everything himself. Be like old school parent mentality, which was working, but it wasn't working for me, because for me, I was just like, look, I want to have a life as well. I don't want to be working 16 hours a day and then just saving my money. I want to actually invest my money so it works for me. So it was like bringing two worlds you could
together, 100%. So let's dip into that a little bit more. What are your recommendations for young entrepreneurs in that direction? Because a lot of young entrepreneurs, when they are starting, you are working those 15, 16-hour days. You are hustling to get everything up and running. When do you find that comfort zone and that level of, okay, you know what, it's time to start passing on the torch to other people and trusting other people?
I mean, with that, I would say that first and foremost, to anybody starting a business, start like you mean to finish. So like most people, they'll start and say, oh, I've got to do this and I've got to do that. Like you take on the world on your shoulders. And yes, even when I started, it was literally like I said, 15, 16 hours a day, just hustle, hustle, hustle. But there was no plan. It was just like, okay, do it. Let's see what happens. Do it. Let's see what happens. And there was nobody I could model that had already done what I was looking to do. And success always leaves clues, right? And it's just about finding somebody that's already done it just to see, okay, how did they do X, Y, and Z? And even like that cash flow is king as well, right? So looking at your business by saying, okay, however much money is coming in, I need to know how much I need just to live. Bare bones basics, right? To start with, bare bones basics. And then what's left, right? In that, what can I put into marketing to then systemize certain things to start bringing it in? Then what can I, having a list of it, like list or action points of everything that you do in your business to say, okay, at first, all these tasks, they rely on me. But everything else below, that's what I can start leveraging out afterwards when I make X amount of money. So then they know, okay, if I've taken £1,000 for my rent and like living costs, let's say £2,000 living average, then above that, anything above that goes to like £300-400 a month straight into a marketing budget. Everything else, I keep growing the sales. Then I get to a level of, okay, how can I pay somebody else £1,000 or £2,000 a month to take over the other stuff? Then I can work on the business. So then just I'm like going back to that, just saying, focus on doing it yourself first, but then don't get excited with the income, because that's what we do. We get excited. I made 10 grand this month. Where can I go spend it? No, how can I reinvest it to make 20 grand next month? And what kind of people do I need on board as well?
Yeah, that's a huge point of the reinvesting and taking those assets and that those funds to reinvest and grow. Whether it's one thing I always do with Comoreware is my bread and butter. Comoreware is my main brand, but I've always allocated taking a certain amount of assets on a monthly basis and use that towards building other properties, other stuff. So I use Comoreware to build other assets and the longer term of my company. Listening to one of your prior podcasts you had with another gentleman, and that's one thing I've seen you do as well, right? You're always taking and reinvesting, right?
For me, my ultimate goal is in the next 12 to 15 months, making £100,000 net profit a month, right? And that ain't going to happen overnight, but it's going to take a lot of time, effort, reinvestment, thinking different strategy. And especially now with everybody on lockdown saying, okay, how can we make our business even leaner and trimmer than it was before, right? What can we systemize more? And for me, it's like if that end goal is there, but then I always need to keep reinvesting when I get there. And the funny thing is, when you get to that point, you're probably going to be like, now I need $500,000 a month.
It's always like that. It's an entrepreneurial mindset, right? So you're never, as much as you have a goal, you're never satisfied to when you get there. It's that drive, right? That makes us, I always say, we're cut from a different cloth in a way, right? It's that natural drive. One thing, let's talk about that. Let's jump into, I guess, the crisis, the pandemic we've been into. How's life been in the UK?
Quiet. Literally, these four walls are like my best friend right now. But again, for us, we're quite fortunate because we've got good team members, we've got good business partners, and me and my wife, we are business partners and husband and wife since day one for the past 14 years. So just like we've always been pushing together. So like now we've like the two brains have been at home together, just literally working on 1,000,001 things. So it's been sort of tough by not going out. But again, then it comes down to the whole mindset. Like I didn't tell you, but I'm a NLP qualified, so mindset, I know exactly how the mind works. I'm very fascinated by this tool in here. It's the most powerful thing we have. You don't have to learn how to make money. You have to learn how to use this, and you can do anything you want. And for me, it's just like, okay, cool. I'm going to start conditioning myself to say, I don't care, even if I'm in lockdown, how can I benefit from this situation? What needs to be done to come back stronger than ever? And I start finding the answers and start focusing on what I need to do moving forwards. But there are a lot of businesses out there that have like a different mentality, and they are struggling with quite a few things as well, you know? So it's about being that leader, being that charismatic leader that can actually help people to a better place. So for me, it's like, I don't care, lockdown, no lockdown. Like we discussed off camera before, there's always an opportunity. I don't care how bad you think it is.
Always. Quick question with this. I'm a believer, and I'm sure a lot of true entrepreneurs are as well, is in a society of fear, it's the best time to invest. Are you a believer in that?
In this time, yeah, 100%. Yeah, exactly. With every economic downturn comes a massive opportunity to invest, hands down.
And that's something you're looking to right now?
I'm super excited. I'm like itching to go, man. I'm just like,
how's the real estate market? Has it dropped in the UK? Because it's actually standard. It's pretty steadily here still. It hasn't dropped at all yet. Not even commercial. You're looking at just the real estate in general, the housing market. There's still multiple offers. It's still flowing. And I thought by now we would have a slight downturn on it, but it's still flowing and still going.
Yeah, I mean, like at this moment, pretty much similar to what you're saying. Nothing really going on here because not many people are buying, not many people are selling, because everybody's just sort of in that limbo. So you can't really see what's going on with the housing market anyway. But then I think when we come out of this lockdown bit by bit, then there will be signs of saying, okay, if house prices have like sort of hit a peak, there is going to be a trough, but whether that's going to be a sharp dip and then it's going to pick back up, or whether it's going to be gradual and then be a long recession coming out of it, I don't really know. But there's always going to be opportunity. It's like you look at so many like commercial businesses now, they're suffering, so they may end up actually selling or folding. So there's going to be opportunity there, not to just like capitalize on someone's pain, but actually helping them out, saying, okay, cool, you had this commercial building, your business inside isn't really operating. Now, what other thing can you do with it? You know, how can we help you achieve, for instance, like buying a commercial office block that people aren't using to convert that into apartments? You know, so there's always opportunity that you can even joint venture with people just to help them out. You know, there's going to be so much opportunity, and you got to look at one way: property and real estate and commercial buildings, whichever one it is. It's a long-term game, right? It's not going to happen overnight, and even if it does dip or something happens, over time you're going to make profit.
You're always on the up over the long haul, which is why it's so important for people to invest in real estate.
And with real estate, you hold, when you purchase it, you get paid twice. You get paid monthly or annually, cash flow, however you structure it, and you also get capital appreciation as well in the long run, so you got lumpy money after as well. It's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer. Let's get into something you just dipped into.
NLP, neuro-linguistics programming.
Very good, very good. You want to dip into that a bit?
Yeah, so it's the whole thing of the mindset of how we operate, right? So neuro being the thoughts that we have, why we think, how we think. Then linguistics, blah, 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 blah. The language that you use, how you speak to yourself and how you speak out loud is the kind of reality that you have. And then programming is just putting it all together. So your neuro-linguistics, program it all together to be a peak performer. And I didn't really used to believe in this kind of stuff because I wasn't this bubbly, positive person beforehand. It's only probably been about, I'd say, 4 or 5 years now. And again, it's just like running businesses. You were just always concentrating on money and not enjoying life and not actually believing in yourself and taking yourself seriously. That when I started studying the science of the brain, literally blew my brain away, honestly. I was just like, whoa, okay, cool. And now it's just, even like with a lot of people say, how do you have peak performance, or how do you always be in control of your thoughts or your mindset? And it comes down to 3 things. It's about controlling your state, first and foremost. And that is by focusing on your physiology. So I could be sat here going like, hey, Jeff, how's it going? Yeah. Right? So I'm sitting strong and I'm feeling good. But then at the same time, then the first one is physiology. Next one is your focus. So what are you focusing on? I could be talking to you right now, but worrying about 1,000,001 things. So I make sure my focus is laser focused on whatever I'm doing. Then the last one is language, how you are speaking. And if you put that all together, if I'm like this, hey, Jeff, how you doing? I'm worrying about something else. And you're like, what's wrong with that? It's not even talking properly. But when I'm like sitting strong, focus is here, and I'm like, hey, Jeff, how's it going? Let's talk. Let's inspire people. Let's help people where they need to be. This is what I've done. This is what you can do. And that's why it all in turn gives you peak performance, but ultimately it's your energy, like life is energy. However much energy you give something, that's how much you get back. If you focus on the negative, you're giving that energy, you're going to get more of that. But when you focus on the positive and the opportunity and you surround yourself with the right people, that's when you start seeing immense growth, whether it's lockdown, out of lockdown, wherever it is.
One thing, Sonny, is I've been doing this for 24 years. Every single morning I get up and I always write a to-do day list. And I just follow my list, and anything I don't accomplish that day, I prioritize it. I switch it to the next day. I start my new list. And that's something I've been doing for 24 years. I wake up, I make my list every day. I like a pen and paper. And that's something I pushed on everybody. And I saw that in one of your prior podcasts as something you're a proponent of as well. So
it has to be. Yeah. So for me, it's like I make sure that at the end of the day, like if it's a Friday or a Sunday, I have to pre-plan my week ahead, right? So let's just say Sunday. On Sunday, I'll say, okay, cool. Look at everything that's involved. Let's just stick to one business, right? Because most people, they start with one and they go bit by bit. But for us, because we have different businesses, it's always saying, okay, this needs to be done in this one. That needs to be done there. Okay, cool. Then we prioritize everything. Then we give every action that is meant to be happening throughout the week, everything that needs to be done by myself, I give that a time slot as well. So down to time blocking. So like today we're speaking here. Yes, you said that we're speaking for like an hour or so, but I've time blocked out 2 hours. Yeah. One, before I like to prepare, make sure everything's cool, comb my hair and that, get in the zone. Even if we're jamming and we're talking, then it takes me like 10, 15 minutes just to get out of the flow of this to then go on to my next task of what I'm doing, right? So that's that blocked out. So if anybody were to call me today and they say, right, when are you free? I'm free at 7:00 tonight because I've got everything time blocked out.
Yeah, I'm very similar. Everything is time zoned right in.
Yeah, and then I'll do that on the Sunday. And then every day I'll wake up. So Monday morning I'll wake up. I know exactly what I've got to do. Then I'll go through everything like you said. And then everything I got done, awesome. Whatever I didn't, that goes to the top of the next day, not at the bottom, not in the middle. It was priority day, so it goes up there. But then I also review at the end of each day as well. So what went good, what went bad? Did I give myself too much to do? Did I give myself too little to do? Did I actually get the effectiveness of every task that I did? And what can I do better moving forwards? Then when the day ends on, say, Monday, I'll look at everything I've got to do the next day. And then my mind is already framed because before you go to sleep, you know exactly what you're doing next day. And when you wake up, you're like, well, I knew this yesterday, so I'm just going to bang, get on with it. Rather than thinking, right, what do I do today? So you're always pre-framing your mind.
There's one thing I'm going to jump in there quickly is you said reviewing your day and just seeing how it all fit together, if it all worked out and all that. I think that's a huge, huge factor in creating these lists is the reason of doing this is to make sure whether your day was too filled up, whether your day was not filled up enough. Did you prioritize stuff properly? Do you feel accomplished? I mean, that's a huge thing is reviewing, not just using it as a daily checklist, but actually at the end of the day, figuring out your day and how it all passed. I thought that was a huge part of what you just said. I love that part of it.
And even when I review it, I would recommend to you or anybody else listening, when you review it on a scale of 5 to 10, not 1 to 10. Because if you think you had a bit of a rubbish day and you give yourself a 3, you look at a 3 and you're like, oh man, no, even though you probably were productive. But when you give a 5 out of 10, it still feels like you did something. But even though in essence it's just a 1, it's just a mind looks at 5 as a bigger number than anything lower. So I always sort of stick to that.
I'm going to jump into one thing I heard in your prior podcast, and it's a huge part of my life is fitness. I've been working out steadily since I was 14, 15 years old. Part of me, if I don't do it for a day or two, I feel like I'm lost. How is fitness incorporated into your life now?
Same way as you say, fitness is massive to me, honestly. Just like I used to be obese. I used to be a size 42-inch waist, 18 and a half stone, and just fat, unhappy, unpositive, unmotivated. It was like horrible. Even with that, it gave me a state of stress, anxiety, depression, and it was just like I was a total different person to who I am now. Then, like I said before, success leaves clues. And I started modeling the greats of saying, okay, what are these successful people doing, right? And they're always, first and foremost, their thing is they look after their health and fitness. And I was making money, but I was not looking after me. So then I started getting into health and fitness. And even with that, I was too shy to go to the gym because I was so fat. I was just like, no, I don't want to go to the gym. I'm going to be that chunky monkey in the gym, I started doing it at home, just literally YouTube workouts. And I started doing Insanity, P90X, all that kind of stuff. Then I was like, right, let's get into the gym now. And then I started getting into Muay Thai, kickboxing, and just eating well. And I did health and fitness for about probably a year and a half. But I didn't really focus too much on my diet as well. And that's where I messed up. So then afterwards I said, right, let me incorporate this. I got a personal trainer. He kicked my ass into gear and stuff. And then literally just now it's every day without.
Your diet and nutrition is about 65% of your results, which is awesome. So when did this journey start? How many years ago?
Which journey?
Your fitness journey.
Oh, fitness. Oh, man. So 2007, we bought that business. I think by 10, probably 2011, I'd say. 2011, 2012. So
you're looking at 8 years you've been at this. Yeah. So you said Muay Thai. That's obviously something with my industry. We fill a lot of Muay Thai gyms. How long have you been doing that for?
That's been on and off. So I did karate when I was 14 or 15. So I started doing that then. Yeah. Then literally, obviously, college and university comes into play. And you don't have time for your kickboxing and stuff like that. And then literally got back into it probably about 3-4 years ago. So it's been on and off, just for the fact I like to do it. But I say to people, look, don't punch me in the face because I speak on stage. I can't jump on with a black eye. Right? I'm a public speaking. So I love to do that. But I love to do pads as well. Now, being locked up at home, I've actually got a water-based punch bag on order. So it's going to be coming. So I'm going to get some moves out in the garden. But Muay Thai, honestly, it's such an amazing. It's really good for your mental discipline, physical health and fitness and discipline and stuff. And it's just good to have that sort of skill set as well.
Yeah, 100%. It's a huge part of, like I said, it's a huge part of my industry, huge part of who I am, right? The martial art industry. Let's jump into one thing I heard you say as well, and it's a huge part of who I am as well, is the confidence in not being scared to tell people what you're going to do. One thing, I'll give you an example. If you have a business plan, you're not scared to say, hey, I'm going to do this and this and this, and be proud and talk about what your goals are. Because a lot of people they have that fear of not accomplishing their goals and then feeling like, oh my God, I didn't get this. And people are going to think, oh, I'm bragging, or what's your mindset on that?
With that, it's like, first and foremost, I always say to people, as long as you believe in yourself, you believe in your product or your service or your business, whatever it is, tell people what you do. Because a lot of people, there's some kind of people, they don't want to tell people because they're like, oh, no, that's my idea. What if they copy it? What if they do this? It's like, and I always say, look, you haven't just created a light bulb, you just created a business, okay? So no, even if somebody copies it, you're the business, right? Yeah, you brand, the image, whatever you're doing. So they can't copy you. As long as you believe in it, push on it. And then the second thing is that a lot of people don't tell people what they're doing just for the fact that they got the fear of failure, right? What if I fail? What if this goes wrong? What if that goes wrong? And I always say to people, look, rather than focusing on what if this goes wrong, look at what if this goes right and when this goes right. What is your life going to look like? And then at the same time, I would say never ever focus on failure and actually change the connotation of that. Because I don't look at anything I do in life as a failure. It's failure. There is no such thing as failure, only feedback. So when you've actually hit a hurdle or hit a roadblock, you say, okay, cool. That wasn't a failure because you have to do something wrong to actually learn something, implement, and come stronger.
100%.
There's a lesson to be learned from that, And the third thing is I tell everybody this. I'm like, when you think you're going to fail, stop. Because the only time you will fail is if you give up. And when you know I'm never, ever going to give up, this is my goal, this is my passion, this is my dream, this is my vision, you don't care. You welcome problems. You're like, you're cool. Problem, fixed it, next. Problem, fixed it, next. So you keep going and going and going. But the minute you give up, then that is ultimately you have failed because you failed yourself, not the process. You failed yourself for actually not pushing through.
I like that word process. That's the one thing I use a lot of as well, is you set a process and you fulfill the process. Whether you hit a roadblock, you just got to keep moving forward through the process, which is awesome. I won't even get into land development. You get a young entrepreneur right now, they have a business, they're doing well, they want to start investing in real estate. What first steps or what would you recommend for their first movements into the real estate market?
Okay, cool. So getting into property, as in, firstly, I would say that I don't know how big it is in Canada, but you have to have a good credit score here as well. I don't know if they call it
that's worldwide, buddy.
No, sorry, I thought you might call it.
Yeah, it's credit score. Yeah, same thing here.
It's like with that, it's like so many people underestimate that, And I always say to even, no matter how young you are, even from 16, work on your credit rating, work on your credit score, make sure it's actually something that you're taking as a priority, because you may have the best intentions in the world, but if you defaulted on a payment, or if you didn't go and vote, or if you didn't do X, Y, and Z and it screws that up, that stops your chances for actually investing into property. Then I would say you need to pick which strategy, because you know that, like I know, there's a million and one things to do in property, right? And especially when there's all courses out there selling the shiny penny syndrome of, come here, you can make £10,000 a month straight away. And it's like, whoa, okay, take my money. Just like look at a wealth building strategy that fits you. And then the other thing to look at is saying, okay, do I need lumpy money, like as in at the end of the year, or do I need monthly cash flow? Then you can start seeing which strategy works for you moving forwards for there. And then also just know that it is a risk, but it has to be a calculated risk, and know that it's long-term wealth as well. And if you've never done it before, focus on either getting the education or teaming up with somebody that's already done it, to then actually team up and do that moving forwards. Because for me, I can't just about probably put this like light up, right? I'm rubbish at DIY, but I know how to build a business. I know how to build a team that can build those houses, and you can both or all parties profit from it.
So with your land development right now, your projects, how big are they skill-wise? Like how many houses are you building on a piece of property? Like what are you up to right now?
So it all depends. So we range anything from 4 units up to about 20, 30 units. So for us, it's like we're always looking at that bit. And then I think probably in about a year's time, we're going to start scaling to go bigger, like the 50 plus. Because even when you're building those, you don't just build them all at once and sell them.
Are these more residential, or are you looking into are they more townhomes, condominiums? Like what's the scale you guys are at right now?
Residential. So we focus more on like outskirts, like village locations where you can build big houses. People like want to move away from the city, and we tend to look at a radius of 45 minutes on a train from central London. So that distance there. So
you're we call them the suburbs here. So when you're developing this, from the moment you purchase your lands, how many years of a project with obviously permits, everything going is 100% perfect, which nothing ever does. But on a good scale, what do you give yourself a 5-year plan? Like from start to end, what are you looking at from phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 of purchasing and selling and whatnot?
Okay, so let's say on average, most people buy here a piece of land with average about 10 houses or 10 plots. So for that, we would say, okay, the minute you purchased it, I only look at stuff with planning permission ready to roll, just for the fact that I don't want to waste like 6 to 12 months trying to go through planning and then 12, 15 months to build them and sell them. So we just jump ahead on sites with already having planning. And then off the back of that, it should take between 12 to 16 months to build them and to sell them as well. And then that's that done. And then, okay, then what's your exit? Are you going to refinance all those properties and just keep them as a rental portfolio and leave your profit in the deal, which is what we call build to rent? Or is it going to build to sell, just to build them, sell them for lumpy money, and then reinvest that into another business or another site, or go on holiday, whatever you're going to do, and then just take it by that way. But it's normally about 12 to 18 months, I'd say.
How many projects do you take on at one time now?
Well, last year we had 6. Which was fun, because I probably
that's a lot of moving parts, huh?
Yeah, but it's a lot of moving parts that I know nothing about. My team know a lot about it, so they carry on. So I don't overwhelm. I'm just like, hey, you need to get materials. I don't know. I know the whole concept of pricing, scheduling works and stuff, knowing how to work with investors, working as a team, building the brand image, building the awareness and stuff. So I focus on that. And then my business partner, Nick, he's awesome. He can literally build houses with his eyes closed. So he just gets on with that. He loves it. And he doesn't like doing my part of being on social media and networking and building relationships. So we all stick to our strengths, and then just get them done. And then just getting regular updates and stuff, and taking the cool selfie at the site. And then that's it. I'm like, my work here is done.
So motivational speaking and just in general speaking in gigs and whatnot, how frequent are you doing them right now?
So in person, like before lockdown, it was about 3 times a month.
That much, huh?
I love what I do. So I speak at college, university, corporate events, networking events, and I had some really, really cool things lined up as well. But obviously they've stopped because of lockdown and everything. So I'm just trying to reinvent everything. My goal was to speak in Dubai and in India next year as well. So that's what we put on hold. It's just on a little back burner just till we can get the things back moving again. But yeah, normally 3 times. But now with lockdown, this I class as speaking as well, you know. So
Yeah, 100%. With long-term goals, would you look into land development in other countries?
yep.
Have you started that yet or no?
No. So one of my passions is to redevelop, to actually develop in New York and maybe Canada.
Canada's we got a lot of opportunity in Canada. New York's tough though. The real estate market is, man, it's expensive. But I guess it's familiar to you with the UK, right? When you're looking at London prices, it's very familiar to New York.
Yeah, and I mean that with me, I'm always building connections. So I've got family in New York. I've got family, like I mentioned before, in Vancouver. I've got friends in Montreal, I think. Yeah,
Yeah,
Montreal as well.
yeah, Quebec, yeah, very good. Have you ever been to Canada?
Yeah, man. I came on when I was 16, in the 16 summer holidays from school. Oh man, I loved it, honestly. My cousins from Vancouver came here. They were looking at England, and it was the first time I'd actually realized I've got cousins from a different country. And I was like, yo, your accent's awesome. You guys are, you're wearing baggy clothes. What's this all about? And stuff like that. And then we just hit it off. And then they said, yo, you need to come on your summer holidays. So my parents, I didn't think they'd send me. But literally 6 weeks, I just went to Canada. And I was like, man, this is awesome. I love the big streets, the big houses. And you guys are so friendly, man. We're not used to that here. Everybody's
That's what we're known for. That we're always very polite.
About 7-8 times now since 16. So yeah, I love it.
Oh, really. Yeah. You've been here 6 or 7 times, you said?
Yeah.
Very good. You're talking about baggy clothes. Let's talk about Mr. Sunshine State of Mind clothesline.
State of mind, baby.
When did this all start? Obviously, we got your nickname in there, but when did this all start? How did this all come together?
It was a mistake, my friend.
That's how some of the best businesses start, buddy.
Yeah, man. So this was in 2018. So again, like in 2017, we sold all our businesses to focus solely on land development. So we said, okay, we're going to sell, take the money from there, put it into land development. Let's see how it goes. And then, yeah, when I had my businesses, I was very confident. I knew what I was doing. It was my thing. Could do it with like the back of my hand. But then going into property, I was like that. We had invested in small deals, but went to land development. I felt like that whole newbie syndrome of like, who do I think I am of buying land and building houses? I can't put a picture frame on the wall, and how am I going to do this? And I didn't really have that confidence about me. But then I found a mentor. And I started learning from them and just implementing key learnings and stuff. And I started saying, you know what? Okay, if I'm here and I want to do land development, what do I need for that to happen? I need education. I need like-minded people. At the same time, what have I already achieved? And I've achieved 10 years of business, and it's just the same discipline I need to bring and just take it forwards. You know, so then I was that sort of not that positive person, but the more and more I did it, I became more positive, more confident, helping more people. And then people started nicknaming me Sunshine, not Sunny. They're like, all right, Sunshine, all right, Sunshine. And I was like, cool. And then people would say, how are you always confident? How are you always go-getting? How are you always driven and just motivated? And I said, well, I just said one day, that's my state of mind. And then I sat in bed one day, I was like, Sunshine, state of mind. Sounds kind of cool. I was like, okay, cool. And then I thought branding, right? Because I just jumped on the social media scene as well in 2017. And people were starting to see me for the property developer and businessman. And then all I did was print a t-shirt and it just said, Mr. Sunshine, hashtag Mr. Sunshine, state of mind. I took a selfie, put it on Facebook. And about 2 weeks later, people started DMing me saying, yo, where can we buy your clothing brand from? And I said, it's not a clothing brand. It's just got my name on my t-shirt. And then my wife was like, I think you're onto something without being onto something. So literally from there it was born, and I kept getting like requests of buying it. So my wife created a logo and stuff. We designed it, found manufacturers, printers, and started doing marketing and all that kind of stuff. And literally a year to the day later, April 18th, 2018, we had the idea. When I printed the one t-shirt, and then April 2019, we launched the official launch. We went to central London. We did a video shoot down the streets. It was awesome, man. Honestly, it was a big deal. And then that's how I was born, to be fair. And it's just about having this feel good, look good, do good brand. It's about making you feel good, you look good with the clothing, and do good. It's about we donate to charities in the UK to help kids as well, like get off the streets. And like we recently donated to Youth Music London, and they have like a music center where kids that are from like sort of difficult backgrounds can just come in and play music and feel that confidence and look after themselves, and just giving back, really. So
you have a little. So yeah, that's awesome. This is all positive stuff, which is amazing. I love hearing these kind of stories. Apparel business is not a fun industry to be in. It's not it's a very competitive, hard industry, but the way you're doing it is more of a social conscience, and also the bare fact that it rises from what you do. So it's something you could push through your guest speaking and whatnot. Is kind of you as a personality, which is awesome. I love it. You had said something before about your mentors. So dive into that a bit. Who inspired you to get into this, like the land development, and who pushed you, and who guided you, and who did you learn the most off?
So for me, it was like, so we sold the businesses in 2017. And then probably 2016, I had decided, okay, I want to get into property. Land, not no shabby, like small fry, because I've been doing the small stuff. If I leave a business that's making good money, I want to go into a business that's making even more money, right? So I wanted to do my land development. So I started researching on YouTube, finding out what was available, what was out there, going to seminars, watching webinars, networking events, you name it, I was always out there. And I found these two guys, Lloyd Girardi and Andy Cook. And I'd followed their journey prior as well, probably about a year. So for 2 years, I was stalking them on the internet, and they were just showing, oh, we learned this, and this is what we've done, and we have no experience in building, but we've bought a piece of land and done this. And then before you know it, they had a course that they were teaching. So I said, okay, cool. Like, I'm going to go down to the one day, see what it's all about, and just take it from there. Because I know there's a lot of trainers out there that get slated for just selling get-rich-quick courses.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I've seen those. Let me see what this is like. And when I went down, I loved it. They were just honest. They were like, look, there's nothing special about us. We've done what we've done. If you're interested in this, come on. So I was like, cool. So I did the 1 day with them. Then I did the 3-day event with them. And then I joined their mastermind. And when I joined their mastermind, I said, look, I want to be, this time next year, I want to be on stage sharing my journey with people. And they said, cool. And I wasn't that confident person, but I'd set myself a goal. And just with their guidance and working with them and the accountability of the ups and the downs and other like-minded developers, within 6 months, they said, do you want to host our 1 day event that I came to 6 months ago? And I was like, whoa, okay.
That was within 6 months?
Yeah, because
that's
I started
pretty awesome. Yeah,
doing deals. I was getting like 3-4 deals in like 6 months, and most people were waiting a few years until they got their one. And I just showed the most progression. So I did that, and I said, yeah, I'll do it. I'm Mr. Sunshine. I'll speak on stage. And I had full confidence. And the day they said, like, do it, and I stood at the back, and they go, right, now we're not hosting this event today, by the way. Sonny, one of our mentees, has been with us for a while now, and he's going to be doing it. And the minute they introduced me, I started getting butterflies. I was like, yeah,
public speaking, it's probably the biggest fear for most people, right?
You say that, yeah. And before they introduced me, I was like, yep, I'm going to do this. You know, I had no NLP training, no nothing. I was just like, yep, I'm going to do it. The minute they announced you, just like stood on stage like, hi, I don't know what I'm doing here. And I did that. I spoke, and there was one woman, she fell asleep. And that tripped me out. And I was just like, nah, I'm not that boring. And afterwards, I was like, nah, I messed that up. And then she came up to me after. She goes, Sonny, I'm inspired by your story. I love what you did there. I love the way you speak, and I can resonate with a lot of things. I did fall asleep, but I've only had 3 hours sleep last night from my night shift, and I really wanted to come here to see you speak. So instantly I had been like, I'm boring, but I didn't actually think maybe she was tired and maybe she's traveled like she said. And the way she came up to me saying, I really love that, that reaffirmed to me, saying, okay, cool. If I've impacted somebody's life like that, then I need to continue doing this. And I loved it. And now it's like I said, speaking in different stages.
Even if you impact one person's life, it's that reassurance that you're doing something good, which is awesome. Yeah. I love that. I've personally, the last maybe 2-3 years, I've taken under my wing young entrepreneurs and kind of worked on the business consulting from. I've never charged a penny. I just do it out of my will and just, I want to see young entrepreneurs develop and grow. And anytime anybody comes up to me, I take them right in my wing, and I'll start from ground zero, from trademarks to building websites to building a brand. I do whatever it takes, and I'll put whatever time I need. And just to me, it's almost, I've done well for myself. It's my turn to give back in a way, right? So I love hearing that. And I always tell people, if you could change one person's life, you've done well. You're on the right course, which I love that. Even just one person giving that reassurance says, hey, I got the right path. 10 people could have said, the hell are you doing? That one person reinsures you and says, you know what, this is the right path for me, which is, I love that. So how many years ago was that, your first time on stage?
2018.
Oh, it's only a couple of years. So you've developed pretty quickly, and you're very comfortable. Like, you can see your confidence, which is amazing.
The thing is, I always, like I say to people, stay humble, stay confident, stay unique. So I stay humble by, I don't care how much money I make, I don't care how much money you make. People buy into people, right? It's about
100%.
being humble. Then it's about staying confident, because until you're not confident in what you do, you're never going to take action. And you're not going to have confidence straight off the bat, but you need to be confident in doing something rather than nothing. And then you have to be unique, as in Y-O-U, unique. Like, don't try and be somebody else. Be yourself. Be genuine. People love you. They love you. People hate you. They'll hate you. You can't please everyone. Just like you said, you just go out to help one person. That's all that matters.
With the mastermind, you want to dip a little into that? What is that whole?
So for me, I have different ones. So I help people on their property business and on their journey to getting started. And then I also do one-to-one coaching, which is, like it says in the name, one-to-one coaching on mindset, business, and just overall peak performance as well. So, but in that mastermind, I focus on 5 key things: family, fitness, focus, finance, and future. Now, I've noticed, like, even over coaching people over the years, looking at my sort of clients' credentials, saying, okay, what is my customer? Like looking at your whole, again, reviewing, who do I help? Who do I naturally attract? Because I've never spent a single penny on paid marketing for my coaching or my mastermind. It's just been through word of mouth and through social media. And I said, who have I helped? And I looked, okay, they're all married. They're pretty much all men. They all want to work on their fitness. They all want to work on their family time. They all want to work on their finance, and they want to build an empire, their future and stuff. I was like, okay, cool. So I started retweaking everything that I'm doing. And I said, but that's the exact same thing that I do. The whole thing of like perception is projection. Whatever 100%. I put that out. So then, okay, cool. Now I know that I help married men or men in relationships work on their focus, which is their mindset, fitness, finance, family, and future. And that's what my mastermind is, to say, okay, I do one-to-one coaching. I help you on that. I help you thrive at peak performance, teach you what I've done to earn 7 figures, and you can go off and do that same thing as well. So yeah, it's been about 2 years of like tweaking what's worked, what's not worked, and just becoming better and better. And we're still going to be tweaking moving forward as well.
You're always, I always say, there's one saying I always say: the day you stop learning is the day you die, right? So you're always constantly learning, developing, building yourself. The minute you stay stale is when your competitor just starts flying over you. You always got to be reinventing yourself, right? What is your Freedom Acceleration Program or Accelerator Program? What is that all about?
So that is, well, it was and it is. So it was our first 3-day live business event that we're hosting in April, but obviously we're locked down now, so yes, we couldn't do it. So that's been moved to like September or November. And that's about teaching people the 7 fundamentals of business, of strategy, whether you're looking to start a business or whether you're looking to scale your business, just focusing on all those key strategies. And it was going to be a 3-day event where I'm on stage doing my own event, not at somebody else's event, and just helping business owners start or scale their business. So that was planned for April, but obviously we're in lockdown now, so we just moved the date a bit further back.
Have you set a date yet, or no, you're just waiting to everything settle down?
Still waiting. I mean, like, even some of the people I'm coaching and mentoring, they're like they own business events companies and stuff like that. Yeah. So they're giving me a lot of insight as to how the big boys are like delaying stuff. So that lets us sort of like smaller people doing events saying, okay, if the big ones are cancelling for like God knows how long, maybe even like a year or so, and they're saying even football matches, you might not be able to actually go to a football match in a crowd until 2022. So they're saying and stuff. So it's like, okay, we need to see how the events are going to be. Because with our event, it's only going to be about 100 people there anyway. But it's all about putting people's health and safety out first as well. And it's not something that we need to do to make money. I just need to do it to impact more lives.
Spread the knowledge.
Yeah. So when it happens, it's going to happen. But the thing is that a lot of people will lose hope now as well. But I don't think it's a time to lose hope. It's just a time to restructure, re-strategize, move your goalpost just a little bit further, but then still go for it. You started with that passion, that goal in the first place for something. Just never give up, plain and simple.
Where do you see the economy over the next, when do you see it actually scaling back to a normality? Like, is it going to take 1 year or 2 years before we get out of this economic downslide?
I wish I had the answer, but I have no idea, man. I always just focus, like, stay in your lane, and whatever you're doing, just make sure you're protecting your business as much as you can, protecting your life, your family, the people around you, and just like keep pushing forward. And no matter what the economy throws at you, just keep trucking forward. But I don't know how long it's going to be or what's going to happen.
One thing I'm going to jump into, you dipped into at the beginning of our little podcast today was being in business with your wife.
Yeah.
It all works out beautifully?
100%. All you have to say is, yes, dear.
A little different, right? My wife, I've been married 17 years now, and she's very independent. She's always wanted to have her own career, her own path, and I've supported that. And like in my back of my mind, I've always said, her not working with me has been the reason we are still together and happy. Is she goes on, she has her own career, her own path, and she doesn't even interfere with my businesses. She doesn't even want nothing, to be honest, to do with our companies. And it's been that same journey. And a lot of people till this day, they're always like, why doesn't your wife work with you or help you? And I'm like, she has her own career, she has her own path. For us, it's worked. A lot of entrepreneurs, when you talk of having their spouse as their business partner, it's hard to separate the home life and the business life. How do you guys separate that?
Currently, we don't, because we're working from home as well.
Yeah, of course. This is a different scenario we're in at this point, but
it's just like we have our set key strengths of that we focus on ourselves, right? So it's about setting clear boundaries from the get-go, or even as you're going as well, if certain things change, dynamics and stuff. But just always knowing that, okay, you do your strengths, I'm going to do my strengths, and together we're going to get this goal at the end, right? And about pushing each other, and at the same time, like making sure we work together, and then we spend time together. But then also the main thing is to go be your own person as well. Like go spread your wings, go chill with your friends, go do this, go do that, have your own downtime, and just always going back and forth. And just knowing that both your goals align as well. Because for us, it's very important to have a family in the future and have time to spend with them and not always working and not always growing. And because growing up, my parents were always at work. You probably see like one after the other every other day, or they'd come in for like 10 minutes while you're asleep, give you a kiss on the cheek, and then off they go again. So for me, it's like not to have that lifestyle for our kids. And we're both in the same boat. So it's like, cool, we need to set the foundation now, and then moving forwards, then we know exactly where we're going.
How many years have you been married now for?
2008. Yeah, 12 years.
12 years. So obviously if a family is in the near future?
Yeah, we got married young as well, man. I'm only 24. I'm joking.
How old are you? Am I allowed to ask that?
I was 36 last week, baby. Yeah.
Happy belated birthday, brother.
Thanks, man.
36. Yeah, you're still young. You're doing well for yourself. It is, man. We might not even be here tomorrow, 10 years, whatever. As long as you're enjoying today, focusing on changing lives, impacting people, build a legacy. That's it. That's it. Build a legacy. That's the key to any entrepreneur. I'm going to finish off today with 3 little questions. And I try to ask everybody this at the end of the podcast. If you had another career path, whether it's a sport or anything when you were young, you always wanted to do, is there any other career path you would have taken?
Basketball player.
Basketball player. Interesting.
I'm good at it for a shortish guy. I'm about 5'10", but I'm pretty good. And you know why? That was all from those Canada trips when I was 16, because you guys loved it.
We had the Toronto Raptors win the NBA title last year, which is pretty amazing for Canada.
Whoa, hold on. Canada won an NBA title?
Toronto Raptors, our only Canadian team, won the NBA title last year.
Wow, fair play. What, over like Chicago Bulls, Lakers?
Everyone, world champs, buddy.
Fair play.
Our parade, go on YouTube and check out the Toronto Raptors parade. We had over 2.5 million people on the street.
Wow.
Yeah, it was insane. We got it was essentially the whole country behind one team, which is pretty amazing. Next question. If you had a superpower, what would it be?
Ooh. Can I pick between any, or is it just any?
Pick one superpower.
To fly.
To fly. Why would you want to fly?
Because it's just like, that's the one thing that a human being can't actually do. You can't fly, right?
And the last question. If you were gone tomorrow and somebody had, in a few words, to describe you, what would you want to be described as?
I was just going to go back to those same 3 things. He was a very humble character. He was confident, and I loved his uniqueness about who he was. And he impacted me with all those 3 things for me to do the same thing for myself.
That's a perfect way to end today. I appreciate you coming on to the Jeff Knows Inc. podcast, Sonny. This has been a pleasure meeting you. And I'm hoping this will be something of a long-term friendship we build from today on. Do you have any last words you want to say to everyone?
I just want to say thank you for having me. I hope everybody listening has been inspired in some way, shape, or form. But like, again, what Jeff does is amazing and stuff. So just any tips that you guys get from either me or Jeff, just make sure you take it on board. And the key thing, never ever stop believing in yourself. You know, it's not about having external validation. It's about internally knowing who you are and just going after your dreams. Because everybody that is successful, that whoever's listening right now, whoever you're looking up to, they were always in your position, right? Everybody started somewhere. 80% of millionaires or successful people started with sweet zero. That was it. You know, so wherever you are right now, just keep pushing and just know if somebody else can already do what you want to do, it's just a matter of time until you get there as well.
Awesome way to finish this off. It's a wrap for today. I want to thank Sonny, aka Mr. Sunshine, for coming on the Jeff Knows Inc. podcast today. Sonny is like a shot of espresso. If he did not get you guys energized today, I'm not sure what will. His energy is infectious. I'm going to leave on our show notes all of Sonny's contact information. Once again, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to give us a listen. Please tell your friends, tell your family members about us. We're trying to build something special here. Leave us a review if you can. 5 stars would be absolutely amazing. Until next week, always move forward.